hit that like button for me. It helps out the channel a lot. And subscribe, smash the subscribe button, and leave your comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are, what's coming up for you. Hola, 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 mis amores. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están haciendo? So, Cassy and her career, what happened? Because I got really curious. I mean, I wasn't too familiar with exactly what happened with her, because the only song that I know of Cassy's is that Me and You song. And that song, when I was younger, I was like, I've been waiting. You know, that was a song that I really liked when I was younger, but that's really the only song that I know of hers. And I hearing all of these things now come out from Diddy with her and Diddy, I'm kind of like, well, it's obvious that Diddy ruined her career, but what exactly happened, right? Like, and also, you know, we do have to acknowledge that Cassy made a lot of not so great decisions career-wise, hence the fact that we haven't really heard any music from her, I suppose. At least that's what it seems like. But I think, so sure, for the naysayers, oh, you don't want to give any responsibility to Cassy, blah, 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 sure, fine. But let's keep in mind, first of all, that she was 19, surrounded by predators, okay? Because y'all that want to come for Cassy always seem to forget that she was 19 and she was surrounded by nothing but predators. Take a look to kind of learn. I mean, because definitely Diddy ruined her career. That I know for sure. So I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, what exactly happened, right? Because it's so sad. It's just so sad to think about such a gorgeous woman that has all of these unique attributes, and to see that, you know, Diddy stepped all over that. You know, and I know a lot of people were saying like she doesn't really know how to sing, which I heard some of her live performances, so I do agree with the fact that she doesn't really know how to sing.
It's gonna be so bad. Okay.
What's up, BT? What? Next selection. What? Bad boy. Been waiting so long. I'm here to answer your call. I know that I should never had you waiting at all.
And no shade. No shade. No.
Been waiting so long, I'm here to answer your call. I know that I shouldn't have had you waiting at all. I've been so busy, but I've been thinking about what I wanna do.
Well, she tried, at least.
But she had a lot of other talents that could have been leveraged. There's a lot of people in the music industry right now that aren't necessarily the best singers, but they still have somewhat of a music career. So, you know, I just feel like, okay, something else must have happened there, right? So let's kind of take a look here and see some of the stuff that we were able to find on her career.
In power and decision-making positions, youth, talent, and beauty, which in abundance Cassy possessed. What she also had was someone in Ryan Leslie that gave her an opportunity very early on and took her under his wing when Ryan was one of the hottest names in R&B for his songwriting, producing, and hits on the chart. He wrote and produced her first single, which also became her first hit song, peaking at #3 on the Billboard charts and #1 in hip-hop and R&B at just...
So Ryan Leslie was the first person that she did music with, and he was actually the one, from what I researched, that wrote the Me and You song. He wrote and produced that song, the Me and You. And it was around the same time that MySpace first came out. And so what they did was, so first of all, Cassy and Ryan were dating. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that Cassy made was, I mean, she, for the most part, dated every guy that had power, influence, and kind of came around, or at least that's what it seemed like. So she went from Ryan and eventually broke up with Ryan and went with Diddy. That was the most fatal mistake, I would say, out of all of them. But being as young as she was, surrounded by predators, it's like, you know, but she so she was with Ryan. He wrote Me and You, and it was around the same time that MySpace came about. So Ryan was also like, he was a predator, but he was nothing compared to Diddy. I'll say that, because she was already doing her modeling thing when she started dating Ryan. So she was kind of doing her thing. Ryan super smart individual. Apparently he got into Harvard. I believe he got into Harvard or Yale, one of those schools, at the age of 14, and he scored a perfect 1600 score on the SATs or something like that. So very, very smart individual, but not smart enough to know not to do business with Diddy when the time came for that. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know if maybe as he grew, the smartness went somewhere else. I don't know. But so anyway, from what I found when doing research on this, Cassy was already doing her modeling around the age of 15. She had a lot of photo shoots and some shows that she would appear in here and there. And that's how that's how she caught Ryan's eyes, right? And so she ends up dating Ryan and they're together, but she's still doing her thing, her modeling thing. And Ryan is trying to figure out, how to break into the industry. At this point, Ryan has had a single. I didn't hear if he was dating her while she was a minor, and he wasn't. I'm not sure. But it seems highly probable, because at this point, from what I saw and from what I researched, I could be wrong, but this is from what I found, Ryan had, already tried to put out some music. And although it found some success, it wasn't really like top tier success. And so he was already dating Cassy. And so he had the idea to, exploit Cassy and use her. And it was around the same time that MySpace came out. So what they did was they took up, the way he described it, like, oh my God, he described her as such an object. So ladies, when I tell you to stay away from these males, because they literally don't view you as a human being. And a lot of them don't even know that they don't view you as a human being, but they don't. They literally view you as an object to be used, right? So it all depends on what benefit they feel like they can get from you. And that's going to determine how they go about using you and lying to you. So that's just like a side note for you to, they'll lie. They sound so good when they lie, some of them. And it sounds like the truth, but it's never the truth. If you go by that rule, you will be way better off. So anyway, so she's dating this guy, and she has nothing to do with the music industry. While he's trying to put out music, it's not really quite hitting the way that he wants it to hit. And so and it was around the MySpace time, he looks at Cassy and he says, well, you have a pretty face. This new website just came up. What if we try using this MySpace page website as leverage, but we're going to need a lot of people, to know about the page and join the page. So what he did was convinced Cassy to take a bunch of pictures of her, and he posted it on the MySpace page. So hence the beginning of the exploitation. That's actually where the exploitation first started, believe it or not. So he starts exploiting her and using her, puts her picture up on MySpace for his gain and his benefit, and it worked. So, they got as many as 650,000 people on her MySpace, friends on her MySpace. And so then he goes a step further and says, this is awesome. So we have so many people here, but we have to find a way to monetize it. Okay. So then he goes to Cassy and tells her, look how great you're doing. So many people on your page. I think it would be good for you to try your hand at music. But he's not saying that because he actually thinks she would be good at music, because at this point she wasn't in music. She's a model. He was saying that because he was trying to find a way to monetize Cassy for his benefit. So I actually think Cassy's first mistake was not being career focused. If you weren't interested in music and you're a model, why are you singing and stressing yourself in all these other areas when you haven't really even seen the ultimate success that you're probably looking for in the modeling aspect? But she was young. That's the problem. That's why they prey on the young, because I'm thinking like that because I'm older. That's why I'm thinking like that, right? But in hindsight, that was probably the first mistake there, was not saying, no, thank you. I'm not really interested in that. I don't want my pictures posted everywhere, because my pictures is how I make money. What is the point if I then go and post it for free on MySpace? What's the point, right? Literally, I'm a model. So that's me taking pictures and stuff like that. That's how I make money. Why would I then go and post that on MySpace for free? Right. And I'm not even, and that's what I'm focused on, not this whole music thing. But anyway, he talks her into it. However he goes about doing that, talks her into it. She agrees. And then he writes, that's when he moves forward and he comes up with Me and You. So he writes the song and produces it. And what he does is he posted it on MySpace. Right, so he posted it on MySpace, and from there the song was an absolute hit. Okay, and because the song was so popular and did so well, enters Diddy. Right, so a lot of record labels and music companies start calling him. Diddy was one of them. So here's the second mistake that happened from what I researched. Right, instead of that's where I'm saying, like, well, he scored perfect scores and all these things, but he must have not been that smart. I guess maybe not real life smart. Maybe he was just book smart and not real life smart, because you have all these options, and out of all these options, you choose Diddy. Because at that point, I'm pretty sure Diddy already had a bad reputation brewing. There were already rumors that he didn't treat his artists well. So I'm sure whatever numbers Diddy put in front of him, like numbers, he let himself get swayed by that. So out of all the offers that he was getting, this guy chooses Diddy, and therefore, entangling Cassy with Diddy. Okay. So of course, at first everything was going well, and Diddy was pretending, but eventually what ends up happening is Cassy did a couple of in-person shows, which she completely tanked those shows. I'm gonna try to find a live video of her performance, because she completely tanked those shows.
What's up, BT? What? Next selection. What? Bad boy. Been waiting so long. I'm here to answer your call. I know that I should never had you waiting at all.
And no shade. No shade. No.
Been waiting so long, I'm here to answer your call. I know that I shouldn't have had you waiting at all. I've been so busy, but I've been thinking about what I wanna do.
Well, she tried. At least, she.
And so here comes Diddy acting like he's coming to the rescue.
I would say it was a whack show. She had a pretty whack show on BET. Did not perform at the level of the bad boy excellence, I would say.
So they do interviews together, and like Diddy is pretending like he's standing by her side and all these things, even though in the same breath he's talking down on her. So there was an interview that he did, and he said something like, okay, yes, her performance was horrible. Well, not horrible. Her performance was abysmal. I'm paraphrasing. Abysmal. It was just terrible. Like, he said it like 3 or 4 times, right? So he was, you could tell he was really enjoying that, right? But he made it seem like, oh no, I'm just like trying to help you out type of thing, So eventually Cassy breaks up with the boyfriend that she was with, starts dating Diddy. And it all continues to go quickly downhill from there. Now, from what I did see, they try to rebrand her a few times and it didn't work. And this whole time, I don't know why, I think it would have been better for Cassy just to be like, okay, I never even wanted to be in the music thing anyway. Like, I'm going back to strictly modeling. Like, hello, but I don't know if she did that, if she didn't do that, but I know that she kept trying for quite some time. And even now she still sings some songs and goes here and there from what I heard. But yeah, so that's kind of the general scope of what I've been able to find. But let's see.
19 years old. Leslie took to Cassy for either of the above mentioned reasons and guided her quickly along the initial music artist journey, opening the doors to a world anyone would think was a tremendous blessing, and for the most part that's what it was, if handled correctly. 2006 was 17 years ago, and it may be safe to say that Cassy's career was not handled the best way it could have, because right now, she, with all she had working in her favor, should have one of the best-selling catalogs in the game and sitting on a few platinum albums, multiple #1 ringtones and charting singles, and success in the game to match the attributes she first came in with. Instead, unbelievably, she's produced just 1 studio album in almost 2 decades, and many promises to her fans that never materialized. She's back in the mix apparently, working on a new project at 36 years old, with almost no real buzz that will turn into musical success in 2023, still pushing a potential squandered for the following reasons. Found initial success at 14, using her most obvious gifts to become a print model, as well as doing ads for local stores and fashion magazines. At 16, she even appeared in a music video for then charting artist Mario. Her modeling career was taking off as she moved on to being represented by New York powerhouse modeling agency Wilhelmina International. At the same time, she became a frequent face on the New York nightlife scene, which is where Ryan Leslie noticed and approached her her about coming to the studio and working on music together. Those sessions led to her and Leslie building a chemistry that would turn into a relationship, and he introducing her to Tommy Mottola. He and Mottola signed Cassy.
So y'all notice how like he approached her about doing music when in reality he's trying to like get with her. So the nature of males, I keep trying to explain and tell y'all, they're very like, they'll use you. They'll use you from the get-go. If they're coming to you, you need to assume that they're coming to you because they want something from you, not because they genuinely like you or have honest feelings for you. It's always going to be because there's something that they want, right? And so he comes up to her under the pretense of, oh, you know, we should do music, blah, blah, blah. And somehow they end up dating from there. Like, okay. So ladies, be careful, especially the younger that you are.
To a joint deal with Leslie's label and Mottola as management. From there, her first single, Me and You, was written, recorded, and shot up the charts. Cassy had a sultry, seductive look and sound that radio took well to, as well as none other than Sean Combs. Stunt number 1, losing Ryan Leslie. Around the time Me and You was becoming a hit all over the world.
I think that was a big mistake on her part, losing Ryan Leslie, because it just went from, like, it just went tanking for her from there. No one ever even heard from her. It just went tanking from there, right? From what I saw, they tried to reinvent her a few times though, and it never really worked out. And I don't know that, I don't think Diddy tried that hard, obviously. We know Diddy's reputation for ruining artists. So I'm sure that he never really even tried that hard. He probably just kept breadcrumbing her and saying, well, you see, it didn't work out. Well, you see, we did this and it didn't work out. Just breadcrumbing her to keep her under control. For anyone that's young and teenager or in your 20s or, you know, wherever you are in life, just remember that, you know, you want to do your best to have high boundaries and high standards from the start, because it's never going to be easier than that time to leave someone that you're not supposed to be with or that's going to cause you harm, right? So what do I mean by that? When you first meet someone, that is always forever going to be the easiest time for you to walk away. So if you meet someone and he's like way older than you and you're super young, you know, that's a red flag. So walk away then. Don't spend time texting, talking to them, calling them, blah, 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 blah. Walk away right from the start, because as soon as you're in it, as soon as you get in it, just by doing that, it becomes a lot harder for you to walk away, especially from a mental perspective and a psychological perspective. And that's when you end up with potentially having to deal with, for example, a case like Cassy's, because once she got in it, right? It's tough to break away now that you're wrapped up in it, because now the gaslighting is taking place, the manipulation is taking place. Oh, I'm going to help you with your career. Okay, meet me at the studio at this time and blah, blah, blah. All in the meanwhile, he's not trying to help you at all. And more time is passing by, which means you're investing more and more of your time and your youth. And so it's going to make it harder for you to walk away from your investment. So you want to prevent all of that, if at all possible. Okay. But yeah, so.
World, Sean Combs, aka Diddy, heard the song and it piqued his interest into Cassy. For whatever reason, Ryan Leslie introduces the two, and it led to her signing to Bad Boy, as well as being on Leslie's label. The two hit the studio right away to produce a debut album to match the success of her charting record, which was released August 8th, 2006. Leslie produced and wrote on most of the album, and it peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200 and number 2 in hip hop and R&B, selling almost 400,000 copies. With Leslie, Cassy was having expected success on just her first try. Maybe this is what led her to think this was naturally what was supposed to happen anyway, completely neglecting Leslie's role in building her career. Her and Ryan's relationship, which was hinted at also being intimate, began dissolving as her and Diddy's flourished. By the next year, 2007, she and Sean Combs began being seen together more often, and rumors of them dating became the talk when Cassy's name was brought up. Around the time her and Leslie discontinued their working and personal relationship, as her and Diddy became obviously more than business acquaintances. After 2007, she quit all music relations with Leslie except for still being signed to his label. But as a producer and writing songs together, that bridge had long burned. Losing Leslie was immediately a stunt in her growth because of the work those two put together that was evident in those songs being her only in history that charted in the US. He had the right sound for her, along with production, and because he had a thing for her, he gave it his all to push her the right way. Her getting with Diddy changed all that. Stunt number 2, in bed with Sean Combs. Musically, figuratively, or literally, being in bed with Diddy, aka Sean Combs, for a lot of artists has proven to have various negative results. Too many to even mention, of artists who haven't been happy with the way he handled their careers. Cassy in particular may have suffered the most being under his tutelage. Diddy, in my opinion, used Cassy until she was dried up and not of use to him or want musically by fans any longer. I say that because understanding music and business, what makes an artist appealing to the masses, leading to selling more albums and singles, is the fans' perception that said artist is unattainable, but also attainable at the same time. Subconsciously, they know that because the artist is famous and of celebrity status, they may never actually meet this person and much less have a shot at having them on their arms. But because they are still single, it presents a possibility that maybe one day. That maybe one day is what artists should see and use as a way to make fans buy into what the artist is selling. Once that artist
That just shows how dishonest he was from the start, because there's no way he doesn't know that. Everyone knows that, right? Everyone knows that, especially for a young, new artist just now coming into the industry. Ladies will talk about, we've had ladies, artists that will say, well, they didn't let me have a they didn't let me have a boyfriend. Da, 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 da. You know, we've had so many say that, and one of the biggest reasons is this. So he knew that. So that just further adds to the fact that, well, he was coming with not good intentions from the very start, literally from the very start. So it's very sad.
Gets into a relationship that's now off the table, and fans become reluctant to support an artist they see with someone else. Now they really become just unattainable. When Cassy got with Diddy, that's what it was.
And when he's saying unattainable, who's he talking about? Because he's not talking about females. He's talking about males. I'm trying to tell y'all in these videos, right? Like, they are all the same. They are all the same. He's talking about males. He's not talking about us women. He's not talking about us females. Right? So yet another example of how this patriarchy mistreats and mishandles women. I keep trying to tell you, they view you ladies, women, as objects. So if you're in a relationship already, oh, she's totally unattainable, like I'm not going to even support her or spend money on her. So before you try to talk to this guy, or try to chase this guy, or try to fall for this other guy, and my recommendation is that you think 2, 3, 4, 5 times before you do that, and don't do it. Get what you need from the guy and move on. Date with a purpose. Date with a purpose. Okay, don't ever date them because they look good or because, like, oh, they seem nice. Those are not useful reasons. Date with a purpose. Okay? And don't get stuck with them either. You know, because that's what they're looking for. A lot of them want you to be stuck there. Always have an out. Always make sure you have your own things, your own bank account, your own residence. Independent pretty girlies group. Independent. As soon as he start acting weird, funny, you out. Bye.
Before then, she was hot because everyone wanted her. Him putting her up on his shelf and in hiding completely put her youthful career at a loss. All of a sudden, music
up on his shelf and in hiding. This was over a year ago when this came out. And all the other videos and even research articles, not research articles, there's just online articles that I read on this, said the exact same thing. They used different words to say it. Like one of them said, you know, him taking over her life, you know, so they use different words to say it, but it's the exact same thing.
slowed down as well, as no one ever saw much of her again. The two have been together from 2007 to 2018, the duration of her youth and potential. Now, Diddy has since moved on and left Cassy scrambling.
The duration of her youth and potential. Ladies, your youth, you don't even understand how much your youth is worth underneath this patriarchy. Underneath this patriarchy, when you're young in your 20s, you should be getting everything for free. You shouldn't have to pay for nothing ever, okay? And you should be able to save your own stuff and build your own stuff all at the same time without getting stuck with no male, because your youth alone is literally worth bars and gold. Why do you think these males always go for minors? Why do you think they go for minors? Because they, first of all, because they think that minors are dumber, lack experience, and it will be easier for them to control you. And plus, you're young, full of energy, vitality, all of the things that they no longer have because they're old and getting older. So they want to take it from you. Be careful. Be smart. Purpose, goal. Purpose, goal. Focus on your purpose. Focus on your goal strictly. Don't let anyone derail you from what your purpose is and your goal is. And always build your own stuff. Don't ever be stuck with nobody. Ever. Okay?
Willing to adjust her dying career. Stunt number 3, the result of the relationship with Combs. The thing about the relationship with Sean Combs for Cassy is she pretty much signed on to be a lifetime footnote in the history of one of hip-hop's most powerful men. Whatever your view of Diddy or how
A lifetime footnote. And that's what he wanted. Just another toy, another trophy that he could just put on the shelf and let gather dust up there.
However you view he and Cassy's professional and personal relationship, from here on, she'll always be known in industry circles for the relationship the two had. Her career is now at the mercy of that. Not saying he'll do things to sabotage her career because he wouldn't have to. At this point, now 36, all industry personnel that she works with from here on will have that in their minds, and depending on their past history with him, can determine how they now handle her. Another result is the obvious. It took away her youthful energy and a decade plus of her appeal. Now she's since moved on and is married to her personal trainer, whom she has 2 kids with. Being with Diddy also hurt her notoriety, as for years she secluded herself under his wing in hopes she became his official girl, and that never happened. Now she's attempting to build that back once again without her youthful appeal. All in all, Cassy was not Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston, but she had a vocal tone great for radio songs and ringtones.
Okay, so ladies, don't let them waste your youth. Don't let them wait. Literally, they'll waste your youth and they'll waste your life. Waste your life. Don't allow it. Don't let them waste your life. Okay, because they'll do it. They won't even think twice about it. It doesn't matter how good you look. And that's another thing. Because women, we always sometimes think, oh, she looks so much better and this person is so much prettier and blah, blah. It doesn't matter how good you look. These males all see us in the same way, as objects. And they're all out to do the same thing, use you. Okay, so make sure that you're the one doing the using. Make sure that they don't waste your life. Make sure that they don't waste your youth. Make sure that you don't allow them into your space. Make sure that you always have your own space, completely separate from the male. Your own resources, completely separate from the male's. If he gives you something in the form of resources, you add it to your resources and you save it, you do what you need to do with it. But you keep yours over here while he's over there. All right, well, I hope this video was informative for y'all and I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and hit that like button for me. It helps out the channel a lot. And subscribe, smash the subscribe button and leave your comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are, what's coming up for you. Did you know this history? I mean, I don't know. What do you think about this whole thing? And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.